All right. Good morning. I'm Emma Coughlin, and here are the latest news updates on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. An update on the Derek Chauvin trial. Minneapolis Police Chief Madaria Arandu testified that Chauvin clearly broke protocol by leaning on George Floyd's neck for 9 minutes. Chief Arandu referred to the actions of Chauvin and the other officers as murder. Arandu is the city of Minneapolis's first Black police chief. The New York Times reports that COVID cases are continuing to rise since the end of last month. The states leading this trend are the same who have been hit the hardest by the different variants. The vaccine rollout is also increasing, while the average administered doses a day have reached 3 million. And Governor Phil Murphy said yesterday that vaccinations will be available to anyone 16 and older by Monday, April 19th, in the state of New Jersey. It is currently 45 degrees in Montclair. It will be bright and sunny and a high of 66 and a low of 43. So some good news in there for you guys.
I agree. That is some good news. And thank you, Emma, for that lovely newscast. And now let's move on to Ben with our 2-minute warning.
Well, nothing really interesting happened last night. I'm just kidding. For the first time, something did happen on a Monday night, Amanda. Something happened.
Oh my
It's
goodness, really?
I know it's so rare, but the college basketball came to an end. March Madness came to an end last night, and it was Baylor that took it all to win their first national championship, 86-70 against Gonzaga. It's actually the first time I've ever seen a blowout in a March Madness final. Usually they end in like the last shot that I've seen so far, but it was more crazy than my hair this morning. It was a great game, and it was basically it was a team. It was one of those years that either team was going to win their first championship, and it was very impressive. So if you picked Baylor, you have more money than my college tuition. Some people. So congratulations to all the people that picked Baylor, and congratulations to Baylor. And then also in other news, the Yankees beat the Orioles 7-zip, and finally look like the Yankees that they should be. It's pretty much it.
Well,
Very,
thank you.
very nice.
Thank you for that. And I think we appreciate the good news and also sports in general, because I know usually you come in Tuesday and you're like, there's no sports news, but we got some today and it's happy. And I think it's going to be a good day, all. I think it's going to be a good day. Like Emma said, the weather's nice outside, like hoping for some great spring weather this week. And I think this is just going to be an overall great day and great week. And to top off this great day and great week, Caitlin, who do we have on with us again this week?
So we have our special guest Jawad here again. Very exciting just to give us some updates on what's going on in a different part of the world, because it's probably different than what's going on here.
And Caitlin, for any listeners that are just tuning in for the first time, where is he from?
United Kingdom.
Yeah. No, this
I was like, oh.
No, because sometimes people might be just tuning in for the first time, and
No, yeah,
I think
of
this
course.
is super fun that we have this little connection with the UK on the Tuesday and Thursday buzz. So, hello, how are you this morning?
I am doing great, thank you. You guys always give the best intros, and I don't deserve them, but thank you again for having me.
Juwan, I have a quick question for you. Do you guys also watch March Madness throughout the month?
I don't know what March Madness is. I'm sorry. Like I've heard
I
it
was
before.
curious.
I've heard of it, but like I have no idea what it is.
It's a bunch of there's 3 divisions in our colleges because we have too many to handle. So we have 3 divisions, and when all the division 1, like the best division, they do the top 64 teams, and people try to see in a tournament of games of just one, the tournament to see who wins it all. But people that are fans love to see if they can ever get a perfect bracket because it's never been done. No one's ever predicted the exact right.
Is that true, Ben?
No one's ever done it.
That's nuts. I didn't know that, actually.
The people literally, I think if you get a perfect bracket on this website, you win like billions of dollars.
That's nuts.
Like,
damn.
It's just because people keep putting $10 in, and there's like whenever someone gets it.
And what, this is based around like what, college sports? Sorry. Or?
Yeah, it's all college. There's not one or professional, and that's the cool thing is because sometimes if you win the tournament like Baylor did, some of those people literally get a ticket to go to the National Basketball Association. as a like sometimes it gets them so much notoriety because it's such a hard tournament to win.
See, I feel like Americans do sports better at educational institutions. Not like I've ever been to one. It just sounds like it. Because over here, I'm sure we have a whole bunch of tournaments, but no one really cares unless it's like varsity, like two rival institutions going. Otherwise, no one, like, it's not very well promoted. I think that's something you guys have over us.
I mean, I think that's, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Ben, because I'm not as much into the sports world as you are, but that would be considered what this is in a sense, the varsity, the best of the best in a sense, because the more
Right,
of the
right,
best
right.
teams are Division 1 here, and it's Division 1 to 3. So like if you're going to a top college that really cares about their sports, it's like Division 1. And like that's where the one where the best athletes are sought after in like high school and such, and then they go to college. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Ben, but isn't that correct?
You're right there. And the thing about that I think is different that I've seen in mostly America that they do crazily is that people are such homers that people from this area like that we're in will just watch Montclair sports. They do not. They'll just go because people want to see live sports all the time. So, but of course, pre-pandemic and what will be
Yeah,
post-pandemic.
yeah.
Yeah, but
So sorry, I was
there's
just gonna say. So with your varsity, is it just all of the top teams, or is it like? Because when I say varsity, I mean just like specific rivals here. Like for us at Coventry University, I guess it'd be Warwick because that's the closest university to us. So like when I say varsity, I mean like that, like local rivals kind of thing.
we'll make
Like
a
it sounds,
rivalry out of anything. We
yeah,
really
yeah.
will. You
It
beat
That's
us
sounds bigger
once,
very
over
we're,
there.
we're
true.
rivals now. Like, but we have one big rival that's like everything in our school. It comes to even radio, we're rivals with them. When it comes to everything, it's just our school is just a gigantic rival to them, and that's William Patterson. That's the school. That's of course it's always a frenemies kind of thing for most things, except for football and basketball. On both, especially
Except for everything
when
else.
except for everything else. Yeah, except one basketball, engineering, you know, just random students. No, but the yeah, but usually we try to make a rivalry out of anything. I don't know if you guys do the same. Like if you guys beat us a certain amount of times, it'll be like we'll have to put it in there that like they're now mad at them. It's everything. It's kind of weird. It's just everything has to be like beef. Everything has to be some
It's like
drama.
that here. It's like that here, but with that's more. I think it's more with like schools and
Yeah,
institutions. Like after that, less so. But yeah,
And then if you actually listen to the people that hear these ridiculous things, like who cares? Just play.
I was gonna say too, it seems that like with college, like with sports, like in the UK, it's very much like not as cared about, I guess, as much as it is like here in the US. Like we said, we have March Madness. It's like that's not really a thing there. So it's like it's just like definitely not something that's cared about, I feel like, as much as it or appreciated as it is here. Like you just said, you have the varsity thing, but like it's like certain teams that everybody cares about, and then that's really it.
yeah. And I think I'd love it if that was something we imported from you guys over there. I'm not even the sportiest person, clearly, but I just think I just think yeah, sports is very important, and I think it's really cool that you guys have that tied to
You
education
guys,
over there as a way in for other people and for opportunities. I think that's really cool.
you
But
guys have us outdone when it comes to professionals, though. The way you guys, everyone across the world, everyone celebrates soccer to a point where our Super Bowls can't even contend with some places that, like, I've seen the UK celebrate soccer better than we ever have. I've seen just some people like when it hits the soccer, and like I'm just like, wow, we look terrible how we celebrate every single one of our sports because it's just amazing how the world and it's so unfortunate how we're so out of tune with soccer compared to everyone else. And
Well, is it women's soccer or football quite popular in the US?
women's
Yeah,
soccer for us is popular. I'm
right.
not sure about the because our women's team is heads over heels better than our men's team. Um, but
Mm.
like if you oh my goodness, they're so much better. The but I don't know. I don't know what the UK's is. I'm not really
It's
sure.
the reverse. I think women's football is getting more popular, or soccer is getting more popular. Sorry, but it's still men. But people more and more people watch like the Super Bowl here and the NFL. I'm pretty sure NFL have done a few games at Wembley before a few years ago. So it's getting more popular here. Like people who don't really know anything about American football will just sit down and watch the Super Bowl. I've noticed over here. So
Oh yeah.
Um,
Same guy every year though.
well, I hate to cut off our sports conversation, but Jawad, is there anything else I know we were chatting before the show. Like, is there anything else going on that's going on in the UK at all that we should know about here in the States?
Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I just didn't want to make it the whole show about sports.
No. That's totally okay. That is totally okay.
Me and Jawad are just gonna have our own podcast.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So I guess the two stories kind of I was thinking about is so specifically the Oxford AstraZeneca strain of vaccine. It's being looked into by the Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency on whether or not it should be given to people who are under 30 due to the risk of blood clotting. Some people who received that vaccine, it was reported they got blood clots, but initially they were saying, well, if it was because of the vaccine, then way more people would have it, but they don't. But now, I guess, more evidence, more research is coming through, and they're like, we're going to think about it. And they could make the decision by today in one, according to one article. So yeah, so I guess we'll see what happens with that and how that affect the rollout here, which has been pretty decent, I think, so far.
And that's interesting because I know with the rollout here, we have not allowed that vaccine here yet. So like even with FDA emergency authorization or anything, we don't have that at all because of some concerns that were raised. Like, so that's not even an option for a vaccine here. So that's always kind of interesting to see that other countries and places are working differently than that.
Yeah. We'll see what happens with it. We've still got Pfizer. I think we're getting Moderna eventually. I don't think we have that yet. But,
oh, really?
Yeah, I don't think we have Moderna yet. It's only really been Oxford and Pfizer that have vaccines people have received.
Interesting. That's really interesting. Again, we're so used to kind of what's going on here. So to hear that there's certain ones that you don't have access to is just crazy to me.
Yeah, I think this whole thing with Brexit and then getting the right doses to the different EU countries is caused some beef, I guess, and it's it's the little guy who suffers in the end for it, but yeah. And besides that, our mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, has said he would set up an independent commission to examine the potential health, economic, and criminal justice benefits of legalizing the Class B drug marijuana if he's re-elected in May as the mayor of London. So, yeah, that would be, hypothetically, if he did and it was legalized, that would be a big turning point, I think, for the UK.
What a threat. He's like, if you guys re-elect me, I will. It's the biggest, if you don't, stay
if you don't. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I think you could look at case studies in the US and other places in Europe and abroad where they've legalized or decriminalized it alongside other drugs and see how that's benefited more than harmed the communities there. So I think it's really interesting. Something we'll be keeping an eye on, I'm sure, over here.
No, yeah, and I know we were chatting before the show because I said it's funny because in our last election, obviously that was something that we were voting on if we wanted it legalized here in New Jersey specifically, and it was there was enough votes for that to make possible, but now it's all the bills trying to go through to make sure that this could actually happen and what happens to the people that were already arrested for it years ago. So that's all on the table too. So it's funny that this is kind of we're all on the same page with that kind of stuff, which is interesting. And I don't know if the rest of the people on this chat or this call will have any thoughts on that idea too.
I mean, I will somewhat argue with you only because I live in Pennsylvania and we are not where New Jersey is at in terms of
okay, fair.
Which is partly because a good chunk of Pennsylvania is politically very different from two sides of it, Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. But yeah, I mean, I think that this is the UK, New Jersey, obviously the other states too in the US who are doing this. I do think this is something that everybody's eventually going to catch on to because like the research shows that there's way more benefits than there is consequences. So yeah, I think this is just the beginning of it, which is good.
I agree. I think that's a good way to good outlook to look at it as, because I feel like, there's a lot of places that already do have it legalized in some way, and it's like there hasn't been too many problems, or like at least big enough problems that we've found out about. So I don't know. I think you're right with that there's definitely more pros to the idea of it than cons.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can use some of the money that it brings into the economy to help fund like rehabilitation programs for people. So I think one of the main concerns is it will be a gateway drug to doing other drugs. But I think for the majority, that wouldn't really be a worry. But you could still have that there, again, to help people who do fall into, or even with marijuana addiction.
For sure. Caitlin, Ben, anything?
I think the best part about legalizing marijuana is to just emphasize the importance that is the cannabis oils that go from it, because for some reason it works wonders. And I don't know, of course, you have to figure out how worth it is it to, but cannabis like CBD or yeah, CBS channel, I don't know what it's, I don't know its abbreviation, but it's one of those, it's the oil that comes from the plant that's just so good for healing, and it's so natural that it helps people heal. Like if you have a hurt leg or anything, you put that on, it's so good for you in preservation and healing, that I think that's a huge part of why it's being legalized, because they want to put an emphasis on that. And also marijuana as a whole helps relax the body so it can heal. So I think it has a lot of positives, but of course the head high is the part that is where it comes into the gray territory, to see that can be addictive, that can be this, that can be that. So it's just finding a way to lessen uh, that urge to get the head high and try and maximize the benefits that come out of it.
Yeah, there are a lot of positive things. So definitely finding that balance, I think, would be really good. But
yeah, for sure. I think it would just help the CBD industry, because because obviously it's legal in some states already in the US, or you guys are like way ahead of us when it comes to this. But like I have found, like for example, just trying to get CBD only products, or trying to start up a CBD only business here in the UK, because of the association with marijuana. For example, banks and whatnot are hesitant to offer accounts, for example, stuff. I only know this because me and a friend looked into it, because we were like, let's do something. But yeah, so things like that, industries like that, will hopefully open up more as well, make it easy for people to just, only if they don't want the cannabis, just to focus on the health side benefits only with the CBD.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely interesting for sure. And I think, like I said, I just think it's interesting that kind of we're on like the same page in that, like that side of like things, if that makes any sense. Like sometimes we think we're like the only place doing something, but it's like actually, happening around the world too. So that's always interesting to find out about. Anything else happening in your neck of the woods?
You know what? There's always something happening, but right now it's sunny, so just gonna try and enjoy the sun as much as I can for the 5 days that is here. Yeah.
Get that vitamin D, Jawad. Get the vitamin D.
Man, I need it. Being cooped up inside is not the one.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we could all like agree on that one. But if there's nothing else,
I have a quick question for you, Jawad. Throughout the process of your day, do you also have that feeling that we all have here? Like, do you also have to go through a day where you sometimes are locked in your room just straight up doing homework, and you're just like, it's such a nice day, and you just look outside and you're like, what could have been?
that was me last week on Tuesday. Yeah. Had a deadline, had something in for Wednesday. I think we set up like 22 plus hours. So yeah, and it was very sunny that day. And me and a few of my friends were annoyed at some of our other group mates who were enjoying the sun, and we're here doing the work. So yeah, definitely. But thankfully, because it's not that sunny here all the time, we don't have too many of those days.
We love group projects where half the group doesn't do the work.
Oh yeah.
So what we've learned is schools don't change. They just go. This is great.
No, people just grow up. They don't change.
Yeah, well, don't worry. We've all been there. We've all
Yeah.
just been doing all the work for other people while they have fun in the sun. What you gotta do is you gotta enact petty. You gotta find a way to get that petty revenge where you just like kind of find a way to mess with them in the project. Like I'll make them say something hilarious for me. I guess so. I'll just like make them say bubbles in the middle of their sentence for no reason.
You know what? My tutors listen to this, so I'm not going to say anything to affirm that. But I think that's a wonderful idea, Ben. I think that's great.
You gotta put a. I mean, I didn't actually make them say bubbles. I made them say a lot worse. But you gotta make them say little things that'll just make them like that make no sense in the middle of their project to really prove that they didn't do it. Like, and you'll just be like, ah.
I hear that, man. I hear that. We'll have to discuss the strategies off the call.
Yeah, and you guys that will be all in your podcast that you guys are gonna do together. You guys can.
Yes. I'm an evil genius, Jawad.
That's fine. I love that.
But Jawad, thank you for bringing us the news from the UK, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And yeah, I thank you for coming and joining us every Tuesday. It's definitely a highlight of the Tuesday edition of the Morning Buzz. So thank you.
No, thank you, all of you, for always having me. You guys are always so welcoming and whatnot, and you just let me be. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah,
Hope you guys
problem.
have a great day.
Yeah, you too.
Take care. Bye.
So with that, it's always a pleasure to have Jawad. But with that, Caitlin, do you want to talk about the news that Emma just talked about in her newscast before?
Yes. So, the exciting news always. So, all New Jersey residents age 16 and over will be eligible for the COVID vaccine starting April 19th. I'm very excited to hear this because I know Biden promised us that we would have it by May 1st, but
yeah, May 1st that everybody
now,
would be eligible. Yeah, in the United States, it like has to be required that everybody could have access to it. And
yeah, so
yeah,
Governor Murphy announced on Monday that all New Jersey residents age 16 and over will be eligible, but there are currently 1,796,798 fully vaccinated people in the state. So that's about 38% of the goal to have the 4.7 million vaccinated by June 30th. 38, that's only 38%.
Yeah, it seems like a lot less, doesn't it?
Like, yeah, like hearing the number, that's crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, I know we were discussing before the show. I mean, it's seeming like that a lot more people are having access to the vaccines. Like I know a friend of mine happened to just stumble into a Rite Aid at like closing time and they were like, "Hey, we have a vaccine, you want it?" Like, and it's just becoming a little more accessible to people, which is really good. And I know we were chatting before the show like who has the vaccine here and stuff like that. And the reason I know I wasn't here last Tuesday on the edition of the Morning Buzz was because I got my second dose, and I know Caitlin on Tuesday got her first dose. So I mean, it's becoming more accessible, and it's definitely becoming. You're seeing more and more people get access to these vaccines and everything, which is really exciting. And I'm really excited that the state is actually going to open up a few weeks earlier than they thought they would.
I'm not going to let this go. What happened at Rite Aid?
No, so
no way you just walk into a Rite Aid and they're like,
no, my best friend was there
at like if someone does that, it's not the actual vaccine you're getting.
So my best friend, no, it's been a thing that's been happening. If you're in like a pharmacy like before closing time and they have leftover vaccines that are just going to get tossed out, but there's people in the store that haven't been vaccinated yet, they ask around the people in the store if you want the vaccine because they have them. They're just going to go in the garbage if nobody takes them.
Well, what about your second dose? How do you get?
They sign up for a second dose. Once you get the first dose, you could get signed up for the second.
I really thought they just walk into a room, get a shot, and say bye. Like,
no. Okay, it's like a whole
story.
procedure, Ben. So like you sign up, certain places you sign up for both doses and they give it to you immediately. Places like through pharmacies and stuff, you sometimes just have to sign up for the second dose online or they'll give them to you. Either way, like, so when I got my dose, I didn't go through a pharmacy and they just signed me up for my second dose. Like when I was there, when I got the first dose, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
It's actually very, very common. I did a story about this for NewsLab and well, specific to Philly fighting COVID, which was this whole vaccination scandal in Philly, but
oh, what's going on in Philly?
it's very old news. It was like January, February time. They decided to put the vaccination initiative in the hands of a group of college students.
What?
It's a long story.
That'll work.
This goes back to the discussion we had earlier where like half the group does the group project and it's going to be like half the college kids are like, cool, let's do it. And then the other kids are like, well, they're
We're gonna vaccinate Philly. I don't feel like it.
They are graduate students, and
okay.
it just
That doesn't mean they still don't have to do the group work.
yeah, no, it's true. It didn't go super well, and it wasn't just them. Like a lot of the blame was on the city of Philadelphia too. But I did a whole story because I had a friend who was offered a vaccine. This was very early on when like it was really hard to get one. So I had a friend who was offered a vaccine by another friend who goes to Drexel University in Philadelphia. And I was like really upset about it because I was like, what do you mean you're getting offered vaccines? Like, you're my age. You have no reason to get a vaccine. That's ridiculous. But they had like thousands left over at the end of the day. Now, in my research, there was much better ways to like handle that. You don't tell your volunteers to go ask their college friends to get vaccines. You ask a homeless shelter or
True.
or a prison or something like that. But it's been happening since the beginning. Like there's leftover vaccines and the people who are close by who are lucky get the first dose, and it's super easy to just get the second dose. So I know it sounds shady because I had the same reaction that you did, Ben, but it's pretty common because people don't show up for their appointments. I don't know why.
That too. That's the other thing. People don't show up and don't cancel.
But
that's the thing I don't understand is how do you ask? Like how do you ask a person like, yo, you want the vaccine? Like I really think if someone walks up to me and says, yo, you want the vaccine? I'm like, I know, sir, I don't want whatever needle you got there, sir. Like I don't get how that seems safe when at first glance, because
well, Ben, it's actually
stranger danger when a stranger's asking to put a needle.
It definitely has been happening a lot too, because a lot of times back in February too, or early January, there was times where there were snowstorms and people couldn't get out, and they had these vaccines, and they would would just like kind of run out and see who's nearby and try to just give them out, because they don't want them to go to waste, because that's like a waste of money. It's a waste of like, this could be going out to more people. So at the end of the day, they're just like, let me just get it into the first like arm I can get it into that wants it.
Especially because the vaccine rollout in this country, and depending on the state too, has been really like, it's been a bit sloppy. So I think
this actually, surprisingly too, I mean, I haven't looked at every state, but with what I've heard in like reading articles and stuff, New Jersey has actually had it like one of the best rollouts actually, which is surprising because I feel like sometimes it's even lacking here, but it's definitely one of the better states with rollout.
You guys are doing really well. I'm a little jealous, actually.
Us guys, like we're you and your Pennsylvania thinking so much better.
Yeah,
us here in Pennsylvania.
Emma, I mean, I'm out of curiosity before we wrap up this story. I mean, where are you guys at with giving out vaccine? Like, obviously, the 19th is when we're giving it out to 16 and older. Anybody can get it from 16 and older. What's the rollout with you guys? Like, where are you guys at with that?
To put it into perspective, this week we moved from 1A to 1B, which is.
But see, I the 1A 1B thing doesn't work for me either, because the one that didn't work here. It was like 1A to 1C, and then they went back to 1B.
I was so confused. I just did what I was told.
It basically, what that means is that we just finished like the first round. So like 65 and older and healthcare professionals. Like we just finished that. I'm a grocery store worker, and I became eligible based on that like just this week. Now I signed up earlier due to a misinformation, but yeah. So, but we're really behind. We're not anywhere near like anyone 16 or older.
Well, I mean, I guess the good news for your state is, like we said earlier, President Biden did say May 1st, everybody has to have access to it, 16 and older. So there's that.
Yeah. And the other part of it too is because it's been so like messed up, there's been a lot of just like flukes. So like, honestly, like with me, like I was under the impression that I was eligible when in fact I was not. So I signed up, and I have people in my neighborhood who are signing up, even though they're technically not eligible. So people are getting it anyway. So it's all just really kind of a mess.
Yeah.
Like the system is really behind, but people are finding ways around it, which is making the system more behind. So I don't know. I mean, the important thing is that people are getting vaccines in arms. My dad got his first dose yesterday. My mom's fully vaccinated. I'm getting my first dose in 2 weeks. So, I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing anymore, but there was a good month where it was looking really, really bleak here.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Emma. Because where the town that I'm from, when I'm not at campus, there's a lot of people that don't believe in the vaccine, don't think they should take it. The more north or the more closer I get to Montclair, the more people are just taking the vaccine as usual. But is there a lot of people around where you're from that don't want to get the vaccine, or is it all primarily people that do?
So I mean, Philadelphia, like, because I live in the Philadelphia metropolitan area, and that people are usually pretty like eager to get the vaccine. I mean, there's definitely like other factors, like, the African American community is a lot more hesitant, and that's more of a nationwide thing rather than just here. But if you go more, the attitude about the virus changes very, very quickly within like about a 40-minute period, like driving, because I can go 15 minutes like that way and get into Philadelphia, and I can go 15 minutes that way and end up on a farm. So just to kind of put it into perspective. So it really depends on the county where you're from, because it's really, really diverse in terms of like class, race, like all this stuff just in this little tiny area. But like my direct town, everyone's pretty on board with the vaccine.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people that don't, and I'm not saying that it's wrong or right of them too. It's just more of, I just see a lot of people and it's usually just like a community. They go by communities. It's not just like one random person. Like I see a lot of people that just like a whole community just doesn't want to take the vaccine. That one Rite Aid in the town is like, what do I do?
Yeah. It's definitely something that's been kind of going on, and I think it's a thing we'll see change kind of over time. I've seen people on my Facebook feed and stuff that have said they don't want to get the vaccine at first, and then they end up changing their mind because they realize they're really not going to get to do anything until they actually do get it. Like whether that's like theater or going to see a movie. Or, I mean, they can go see a movie now, but the point being, like, feeling like they're more safe, go to a concert and things. And now the idea of that passport thing is coming more reality. The idea that you might have to show proof or like a negative test, and it's just easier just to like just go get a shot in your arm. Like, I don't know, like I think you'll definitely, as we progress into this a little longer, like saying like June, July, like I think you'll see a lot more people willing to get it than you are now.
Quick thing, speaking of movies, going to do a quick transition real quick. Who saw the gigantic gorilla fight the gigantic lizard recently? I know.
How did that segue?
I'm sorry. It's just so good. It was so good. I loved
so
every
random.
second of it.
It was so random.
I don't care.
But I did
so
watch
good.
it.
Ben,
The fight scenes were really
nothing
good.
to do with like what we were talking.
Who else have you seen it, Amanda?
No, I have not.
And get HBO Max and watch it. It's so good. Gigantic
I have HBO
Max.
I just haven't had a chance to watch it.
Something breathing lizard. It was so cool.
I watched it without seeing any other movie,
2.5 hours
too.
away from the thought of vaccines and COVID. It really does. It really takes away the thought of that there's a pandemic.
My side note to add to that conversation, though, is I liked all the memes that came out around it. Like there was one of my favorite musicals of all time. They like attack the last scene is them doing a giant dance break, and they attach the two heads of like Godzilla and what was in Kong like on top of the heads of the dancers.
That's funny.
Like, what?
She's dead, but we have no clue what she's talking about.
All right, well, whatever.
So Emma,
anyway.
have you seen the movie?
No.
Hey, she's
I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have asked, but you guys strongly recommend it because it's so good. My gosh, I'm sorry. Like the first 5 seconds, you'll look at Kong and be like,
yeah,
this guy's relatable. What a hero.
I haven't either, Emma. But you don't really need to see anything before I watched it, because like it wasn't like I would have never watched that alone. I watched it with somebody else because they wanted to, but it was really good, and you didn't really like I didn't need the backstory. Like I understood.
I think that's one of those movies you don't need the
Giant gorilla
backstory.
fighting
Yeah.
a giant lizard.
Yeah. So it was
I'm
cool
like-
just like to watch the fight.
Yeah, you're just like waiting. Once they start roaring, you're like, oh, something's about to happen. Finally.
All right. Well, with that note, I think we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back here at 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, New Jersey.
Cool.
And we are back here on the Tuesday edition of the Morning Buzz here at 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, New Jersey. And you know what? I know, I've been running the board on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and that's my favorite little thing we have on Next Gen, little WMSC ID dog.
Me too.
It's like my favorite thing in the world, and I don't know why. So I'm constantly playing it. But I think it segues perfectly into this next story that we have here. And I know Caitlin's definitely going to share the video for our anybody that's watching on Facebook and any people that are potentially watching on YouTube later. So this past weekend, Pooch's dogs braved the waves at dog surfing championships in Florida. And I don't know about you, but I'm all here for surfing dogs. Caitlin? So for anyone
sorry.
No, you're good.
Technical difficulties, and then I didn't realize I was on mute, and I was like, okay, sorry.
No, you're good. So
I'm so glad that your pun had dealt with just immediate silence for a while. I'm so glad that pun they deserved silence. So I was like, please, nobody talk, nobody laugh. That was wow. Like everyone shh. All right, sorry. Proceed with sorry.
Anyway,
I had to do it too, Amanda.
Some talented canines showed off their unusual skills this weekend in the 8th annual championships at Cocoa Beach. And the video is going to play now for anyone that's watching. It's Caitlin, if you want to hit play on that one. And for anyone that isn't watching, it's a video of a dog literally surfing with his owner right behind him, and he's doing such a good job.
Oh my god! You know what? The dog is so brave, because I had an opportunity to go surfing like maybe 3 years ago. It was a while ago, and I backed out. Like I chickened out so quickly.
Hold on, go back a little bit. Go back a little bit. Can you go back to the one with the bunny ears? Pause. Go back to the bunny. Look at the sheer despair. If you guys can't see, this is a dog that just wants to go home and lay down. The dog looks so unhappy.
Wait, I don't know if anybody.
It has a nose stick up, eyes squinted, with bunny ears, pink bunny ears. This dog looks so unhappy. Like, why?
Okay.
Why do this to the dog?
This reminds me of. I don't know if anybody saw this, but Reese Witherspoon, she's an actress, if you don't know who she is, but she's a famous actress, and she posted a picture with her dog on Easter, and she put like bunny ears on the dog, and then there's just a video of her talking to the dog, like, sometimes when you take photos or you do stuff for the camera, you just got to do things that you don't like to make other people happy or something. Like she's having this whole conversation with the dog, but it's just like the same thing with the
Look at the dog!
It's so cute.
It's like, please leave me alone. I'm working 9 to 5 right now, woman.
So
You're about to walk the line if you keep this up.
Anyway,
it's important to know
Those are better puns.
that this event was held in Laurie Wilson Park, and it was organized by the Brevard Humane Society, which also all the money got donated to them afterwards. And so if you guys were curious, because I know you might be, Lily, a yellow lab, actually took the top spot this weekend after braving rough waters on her surfboard. Her owner said she had a blast, and it was all fun, but all the benefits obviously go to the Brevard Humane Society, and that's what's important.
Rough water. Look how happy dogs are in the water. That's so wholesome. It makes me happy.
Whoever said that. Rough water.
No, because dogs are. Oh, is this a different dog? This is a smaller dog. This one looks scared.
The dog looks so forced to be there. Why are you doing this to the poor dog? I love how Luke Combs is on your suggested.
No, where?
Go back. Luke Combs on you now.
Ben, I hate you. That is because of you.
But anyway, I think it was like a good segue, especially after the skateboarding dog that we always have that plays here at the station. But out of curiosity, I mean, it's never been discussed here, but while we're on the subject of dogs, do you all have dogs at all? And have they ever done anything that was like super cool that like surfing or something? I don't know what your dogs do.
I have a cat. My cat used to play fetch when she was little. Now
I
she's
mean,
lazy.
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
She acted more like a dog, I guess.
A lot of cats do that, but Emma, Ben, do you have dogs?
Yes, I do. She's actually right over here. She doesn't really do anything cool. She can climb the fence, which isn't really cool because it's actually just stressful. She'll get out of the yard. But that's probably the coolest thing she can do. Oh, she can sort of sing too, but it's a little
Aw.
early in the morning for that. I don't think she'll do it. She's kind of lazy. Yeah, we have this giant beanbag that used to be up in our attic, which is like a little hangout space, but I brought it down here and it's become her dog bed, but it's quite large for her, but she loves it. So right now I can see if I can get her on screen.
Oh wow, we're gonna get a special treat from Emma's dog. I love it. I love to see it. Let's see. Oh, for anybody watching on Facebook for anybody just listening, Emma, what's the dog? Like, what kind of dog is it?
This is Zola. She is we're not really sure. She's a rescue, but she's a mutt. She's a lot of different things. She has 2 different colored eyes. And I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get that in there because I think she's asleep, but we can try. Oh, it is. Oh, yeah, she's not much of a morning though.
That dog is like, bro, leave me alone.
Yeah, she doesn't like mornings. I think she hates that I'm up this early, but she'll be okay. So, yeah.
And Ben, how about you?
I'm not beating that story, but yeah, thanks, Emma. I should have gone last. But my dog, he's a master at tracking things. So sometimes I'll throw a tennis ball right off our fence, and he's so good at tracking, he'll jump off the fence head first to continue to go for the ball.
That's amazing.
He will do. Yeah, my dog's an idiot. I'm not doing a good job explaining it. My dog's dumb. He just will do. First of all, you know that game where there's a treat in one of your hands and you be like, which one is it in? He always gets it wrong and bites my hand. I'm like, how do you get it wrong? I'm like, you can literally see the treat popping out of one of the hands. Like, how do you still lose? Like, you can see it. I'm like, you're not that dumb.
Maybe he wants to think you think he's dumb.
No, he's thinking I'm tricking him. He's like, oh, this is a trick question. I'm like, you are so dumb. I'll look at him. And my favorite thing is he'll still get the treat and he'll walk and be like, I win. I'm like, no, you didn't. You lost.
Aw, that's so cute though.
And he'll walk up to you and be like, are you gonna pet me? As if like you're supposed to. I'm like, who put you on this planet to think that you're the boss of me? Like, he's so dumb. I love him, but he's an idiot. My cat's the dominant one.
They expect pets no matter what you're doing. Amanda, do you have a dog?
So I have 2 cats. I live with my mom, so I have 2 cats with my mom, and with my dad, I have 2 dogs. But I haven't seen my dog in like a hot second. But her name, my dog that I used to have, was Lucy, and Lucy, she never really did anything like too crazy, but like I think the funniest memory I think I have of her was definitely when we we're Italian, so like one time we like cooked like an Italian dinner and there was like pasta and stuff, and we had like the thing of cheese on the table. She knocked it down and ate the whole thing, like the whole container of Parmesan cheese.
Legend.
I don't know if and she also, for some reason, she always hated people like in uniform, like the UPS guy, the mail guy. Like she always hated them and would literally just bark and growl. And then like I remember one guy came into our house once and she just jumped on his sleeve. I was like sitting there, but she was never an aggressive dog at all. She just was like, trying to protect everybody, but it was like just a guy coming to do some work in the house or whatever, and she just like freaked out.
So like, if you come in a suit, they'll be like, how dare you?
And it was more of like, oh, the outfits like the male people do
They
or
get to
wear,
look
like
like
UPS or like Amazon, like things like that.
Your dog doesn't like the blue collar boys.
I guess. So.
It's like, nope.
But yeah, she's a good girl. She just actually turned 10 this weekend. So
Aw.
she's in her so funny story, she's actually a dingo. And
All dogs are dingoes. They're all
that's the name of the breed, is she's a dingo. And like I know a lot of people will get like there's a Seinfeld reference in there, but because that was a line once. But anyways,
Yeah.
other than that, yes, so she's a dingo. Before I had her though, I had a pug. His name was Tabasco. He was a good pug. He was cute. He was a good boy.
Isn't that like a?
Yeah, that was his name when we got him though. Like we adopted him.
I hope someone smokes in your family. I don't hope someone smokes, but it makes no sense.
No, it's after like the sauce.
Tabasco sauce.
Oh wait! Oh no! What did I do? Oh no! I'm dumb.
I mean, I can't judge you. We have a cat who lives sort of outside and inside, and his name is Strawberry because we had a 3-year-old neighbor who named him, and she said Strawberry was a girl. He's not a girl, but she insisted. So I don't know. It's just kind of stuck. It's been like 6 years, but he's still Strawberry, or actually we call him Straubs. It's kind of awesome.
It'd still be like, all right, we're gonna give you at least somewhat of a manly name out of Strawberry.
I have 2 cats though, and they're the ones I hang out with. They're Lola and Mary Jane. Those are the 2 cat names.
Those are good names.
Yeah.
I have a cat named Copper who defends my dog. So whenever another dog bullies my dog, my cat will defend it because the dog will win. So my cat's the one that defends. My cat's also the one that eats. My cat's the dog and my dog's the cat.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, the cats are not that nice to my dog. They like to intimidate her and not allow her to pass them. So she's pretty scared of them, which is a little sad, but they're old cats. They've lived in this house for like 13 years now, and then suddenly a dog shows up.
And they're like not in my
they're still not happy about it, but it's all right. I'll get over it.
But anyways, moving on from our dog and cat story, well, turn into a cat story too, I guess. But this last one that we have for everyone today is more of an oddity story, and I know Ben will appreciate the oddity stories because
The Odyssey, I love that book.
Because he like literally he just always likes when we do a little more lighter news, and obviously lighter news is always good to end the show on. So this story, it's been developing, this story, and I saw this over the weekend originally, and basically this is all according to AP News, by the way. Where is this? Andreas Flatten, who worked at a auto works in Peachtree City, he left his job back in November, and the company owed him still $915. So when the company obviously
End of chapter 1, chapter 2.
When the company obviously sent him the money, but instead of sending him like a check or like a deposit in his bank account, he got paid with thousands of oil greased covered pennies. 90,000 pennies exactly. And he just got it dumped in his driveway. And that was his payment for the fact. The developed part of the story now is that a coin firm, Coinstar, that's been in business for 30 years, actually processed all the coins and picked it up for him as like a good deed to go forward. And it was actually, like rounded up to $1,000. And yeah, I think this is just so weird though. Why would a company just dump 90,000? Where do you get 90,000 pennies and just dump it on your your ex-worker's house?
I thought you were about to say ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend. I really, you were about to say, he dropped pennies.
I mean, but like, where do you get 90,000 pennies? Just
was there like beef between him and his former employment place?
Nothing was said about that.
Yeah,
but
some people are the pranked ones. Like, for example, like I worked at a job that my friends also worked at. And when I ordered food from the place, they saran wrapped my food in It took me 10 minutes to open it with scissors. They put wrapping around it, and they just you wrap it like this.
Yeah, but that's something that gets solved in
for
like
5 minutes.
That's
just
something that gets
wrapping
solved in a
food.
few minutes, though, Ben. Like, can you imagine if you just like, let's say you just quit your job and they owed you a paycheck of even like $500, and you just
I would not be shocked if they gave me pennies.
like a wheelbarrow full of pennies.
I would not put that below them.
No, but that's so petty. No, but that's not what happened. They left it in his driveway, and he had to collect the pennies himself. Like, that's
Did they
so
dump
rude.
it, or were they in bags?
No, I don't know. It sounds like they
That's a
dumped it
huge
because he
difference.
said.
If they dumped it and they were just loose pennies, that's rude. If they
No,
left
but
them in bags,
look, he said
that's
that
rude.
an hour or two every night he had to clean the pennies and store. That's when he stored them in the wheelbarrow in his garage. Like, he'd go out there every night for like an hour or two and grab pennies and
I'm
store
gonna
them.
share my screen for anybody.
Like, they would just be out. Like, that's so
this is what it looks like.
Oh,
That's
so they
cool.
definitely did just dump them.
They dumped them. Like, that's so
First of
sad
all,
he had to
that's
do that
disrespectful,
himself.
But I have to say, this isn't that bad. I think that's cool because that's something to remember. Because you got your $900. You didn't look at his house. His house looks like he's not in desperate need of the $900. And also, he gets to remember this, have the story. He gets the $900. Like, this is an iconic moment. I feel like that's cool.
But this
I
is
feel
so
like- I
petty.
would
Who
love
just has that
that.
many
Who wants
coins?
to count them? And also at the same time, they're greasy and like gross. Like, who
Yeah.
wants to deal with that?
Just hose it down.
Not that they were greasy. That makes
Hose it down.
It definitely was like beef. They definitely had beef. I don't know what
Yeah,
it was.
I don't know. I
They
feel like first of all, you get to have a news story about you. You get to have this, that. I feel like the pros in this are way too much to handle the petty cons of the first of all, your bosses now look bad, not you. You look cool. You look pretty awesome. I don't know. I feel like it's worth going outside, collecting
I
pennies,
think
and one
what
day going
Ben's
to a penny.
saying is he
reading
wants
about it.
us to dump pennies in his driveway.
We can make that happen.
Yeah, I think that's what Ben's saying.
Do it. If it's not my money, I'll take your money.
I mean, but like luckily this like coin
$900. I'll take it whatever way you want.
I mean, luckily this coin firm like stepped in and like, did a good deed and like just did it, like, gave him the money in exchange for it. But like also like that's so annoying. Can you imagine having to like wait, like, oh, it's got to go out into a news publication before someone will actually do something about it, which is kind of annoying. Like, and where do you get 90,000 pennies to begin with? Like, where, like why?
That's a good question. That I have no clue, because aren't we in a coin shortage?
Yeah, we're still kind of in a coin shortage. So like,
How do you have pennies to
See, it's even more petty. Like, they actually went and got pennies to make sure they paid this man with pennies.
I
Not even
think
all
that's
coins,
not
like
petty.
just
I think
pennies.
that's
I would like to know.
That's hilarious. I'm sorry. The amount of effort they put into this, because on both ends, the amount of effort, looking at the other guys, the effort they put in to get 90,000 pennies, grease them all up, and send them, must have taken them forever to.
I would
so much
really
work.
like
must
to
have taken them
know.
forever to do that.
I
That's
would
so
really like to
impressive.
know the story behind the employer and
Yeah, me
him. Like,
too.
if it's like, was it like out of like, I really hated you, here's 90,000 pennies like that are all greased up and you're gonna have to do something about it, or is it like literally like you said, Ben, like your friend's playing a prank on you? Like,
Oh, if it's got it. I'm putting a lot of.
you're putting
this on
90,000
as a
pennies
prank.
down on
It's
it,
totally
then
a prank. No way this is not a prank, because if you don't like someone, wouldn't you just give them the check and tell them to leave? I almost said something.
no, or if
Tell
you
them
have
to
like I don't know, like it all
There's
builds up
weird
inside of you,
people out there.
revenge.
Like,
I don't know.
can
I don't
see,
think
like,
people can be that petty. If you don't like someone, wouldn't you give them their check and even give them their check through the mail soon as
But like also he left in November. He's just getting it now.
Oh, that means it's a prank. If it's been that long, you wouldn't do things out of petty. You would do
that's
things out of-
actually a good point. yeah.
I literally went to that job recently and ordered fries, and they gave me just fries from the frozen freezer. They just gave it to me. They pretended that they cooked it and gave me frozen fries. Like they'll still doing it. I haven't worked there in almost a year now. Like they still do it. So not as bad as dumping 90. I mean, if they dump 90,000 pennies in my yard, I wouldn't be too mad. But
Until you have to collect all of it and figure out how you're gonna deposit it.
if you have to do a chore that you're literally getting paid because you're doing it, because your chore is money, I'm not gonna be complaining.
Did anybody steal any of the pennies?
Yeah,
don't know.
wait, what if there's like
They're
some
out there.
missing?
Oh man, he's still $2.
Or what if people walk by and like added to the pile?
Well, he also
That'd be
said he
Oh, I'd
actually
add
got
to the pile.
he actually
100%.
got
Dump my change
more
on him.
too, because he said originally it was only $915 he was owed, but he counted it up, it was 1,000. So
He
they actually gave
more
him
money. He gave him more money.
Yeah, it was a prank.
How is that petty?
Yeah, you're right. It was a prank. You're right.
Well, you know
Great.
what? I would still be upset if I had to figure out what to do with 90,000 pennies.
You got $1,000. You got $85 more, and all you have to do is have an iconic story, and you have to shovel pennies for like a couple hours.
Couple hours. Let me
He
know
was
if
doing it with
it's
bare hands. They're gonna go out for an hour. I'm like, you grab a shovel, that thing's done in no time. Because what, you collecting like 2,000 pennies by
Oh
the
my, you
shovel?
really want to shovel pennies.
yeah, it's not
You
my
really
idea.
wanna
It's
do
done
that.
in
If
an
I had the
hour.
money, I would totally dump pennies in your yard, Ben. Just
Go
All right,
say-
so
for it.
after
I
this,
dare you. I
after
would
this,
love it.
we're all like gonna
If
just
you
drive
feel me,
to.
I will give all three of you my address to dump pennies.
I was gonna say we're either gonna
I
take
really
I'll
want
go
to.
home though, because I'm not having my mother do that. No, she's not doing
Or
that.
how about we'll just come to your dorm right now and we'll just drop it all on like the front of your door so you can't get out of your.
You better speak to my RA about that. I'm not planning on getting in trouble for this prank.
It's not worth the trouble, but
You
it's
discuss
yeah.
it with my RA, and if you put in the effort to have the RA approve and Res Life approve to dump pennies in front of my door, first of all, you'd also have to discuss with the person across the hall because he'd have to walk into them when he leaves.
Yeah. Do you have a
Wow.
roommate too? Because that would probably be pretty.
No, I do
annoying.
not. I live in a double by myself because no one likes me. I'm joking.
Well,
All right, Ben.
on that note, then, because on that note,
what a transition! Good job, Amanda.
On
Good
that
transition.
note,
That's gotta be top 10 transition moments right there.
on that note, it is
Ben has no
past
friends.
the
That's the
top
end.
of, yeah, Ben has no friends. It is the top of the hour, and according to what Ben just said, Ben has no friends.
Oh, one more time. Just make sure the audience really knows that I have no friends.
It is the top of the hour here on 90.3 WMSC, Upper Montclair, New Jersey. Thank you for tuning into the Morning Buzz, the Tuesday edition. The Morning Buzz happens from every weekday from 8 to 9, and our weekend special at 8, Caitlin? 8 or 9, Caitlin?
Sorry, 9.
9 on the weekends. Ooh. And and then obviously if you want to listen to more of the Buzz, we are on YouTube and we are also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts now. So thank you for tuning in. I've been Amanda Marino, joined alongside
Caitlin Aristizabal.
and
Emma Coughlin?
and
You're so dramatic.
I'm Ben.
Ben what?
Ben with no friends.
And that was Ben Petrick. And thank you for tuning in and have a great day.